You don't earn money, you attract it. But money doesn't flow to chaos. It flows to structure. Every dollar you desire is already obeying a system, someone else's. The question is, do you respect systems enough for money to obey you? Freedom isn't the absence of structure. Freedom is structure. Because when you build systems that work even when you don't, that's when money starts to move toward you automatically. Chapter 1. Chaos is expensive. Money doesn't disappear. It escapes. It leaks through every crack of chaos you refuse to close. You don't lose money because you're lazy. You lose money because you're messy. Because your attention is scattered. Because your systems are non-existent. Because your focus is fragmented across too many impulses. You think the problem is income. But the real problem is leakage. Every dollar you earn is looking for order. It wants to belong somewhere. It wants to be given a job, a direction, a purpose. But if your financial life is chaos, no structure, no plan, no tracking, then that money will quietly walk away from you. That's the truth no one wants to hear. Chaos is expensive. The silent cost of disorder most. People believe they're broke because they don't make enough. That's the illusion. They think, if I just had more money, I'd be fine. But if you can't organize a little, you'll drown in a lot. Money doesn't solve disorganization. It amplifies it. A disordered person with $10,000 becomes a disordered person with $100,000 of problems. You see it everywhere. Untracked subscriptions, forgotten bills, impulsive purchases justified as self-care. Tiny leaks, small cracks, invisible drains. You don't notice the cost of chaos until it's too late. Until your bank balance whispers the truth, your habits have been hiding. You don't have a money problem. You have a system problem, and systems require structure. Structure requires respect, because order creates overflow. The mind loves drama, but money loves order. Your mind craves stimulation. It chases novelty, emotion, and excitement. That's why chaos feels alive. But money doesn't care about your feelings. Money doesn't follow emotion. It follows organization. You can't attract abundance while tolerating clutter. You can't claim success while living in disarray. Your environment reflects your internal state. If your room is messy, your thoughts are messy. If your finances are messy, your future is messy. That's not judgment. That's cause and effect. Because when your world is cluttered, your energy is divided. And divided energy can't create wealth. You have a choice to keep feeding the drama that drains you or to design the order that sustains you. That's the key. You don't need another app, another spreadsheet, or another planner. You need respect for structure because the truth is simple. Money obeys structure. Every dollar needs a job. Think of every dollar like a soldier. If you don't give it an assignment, it will wander off. If you don't track it, it will go missing. Every dollar you earn must have a destination before it hits your account. Savings, investments, bills, education, charity. You decide where it goes before emotion decides for you. That's how systems work. They remove the need for discipline by replacing it with automation. If you automate your savings, you don't need willpower. If you schedule your bills, you don't need reminders. If you set financial goals, you don't need motivation. Structure creates freedom. Because when your systems run your money, your emotions no longer do. Repeat this until it becomes identity. Order creates overflow. Say it again. Order creates overflow. The hidden leak. Indecision. Every delayed decision is a leak. Every "I'll do it later" is a silent expense. Indecision is the tax you pay for chaos. When you don't decide where your time, focus, or money go, the world decides for you and charges interest. You check your bank app daily but never build a budget. You tell yourself you'll start saving next month. You keep chasing a raise, but you never manage what you already have. It's not income you need, it's instruction. It's not motivation, it's management. Because the undisciplined mind will always find a way to lose what the structured mind would multiply. That's the pattern you must break. You don't need their permission. You don't need luck. You need systems that eliminate chaos before it begins. That's how freedom starts, with order. How to start creating order. Here's what you do. Not tomorrow. Today. Track every expense for 30 days. Don't judge it, just record it. Awareness is control. Name your accounts. One for bills, one for growth, one for freedom. When your money has names, it behaves. Set one rule. No spending without purpose. If it doesn't move you closer to order, it's noise. You'll feel resistance. That's normal, because chaos is addictive. It feeds your ego by making you feel busy, spontaneous, alive, but order feeds your future. You can either feel good now or live well later. That's the choice. Order is not restriction, it's liberation. Systems don't trap you, they protect you. Because when your life is structured, your creativity is unleashed. When your finances are organized, your focus expands. When your time is planned, your energy compounds. Order creates overflow. The emotional cost of clutter doesn't just steal your money, it steals your peace. You can't relax when your environment screams unfinished. You can't dream big when your mind is drowning in small messes. Every piece of chaos takes a toll. Unpaid bills whisper failure. Messy rooms drain confidence. Unanswered messages breed anxiety. And anxiety blocks abundance, because you can't receive when your hands are full of noise. You want overflow? Empty the noise. Build order. Respect structure. Because freedom doesn't come from what you earn, it comes from what you organize. Chapter 2. Systems are the new discipline. Motivation fades. Systems stay. That's the difference between those who talk about change and those who live it. You don't need more willpower. You need a system, that's the truth. Because discipline that depends on emotion will always fail the moment you feel tired, distracted, or uninspired. But a system? A system doesn't ask how you feel, it just runs. That's why the people you admire aren't more motivated than you. They're just more structured. They've replaced motivation with mechanisms. They've replaced feelings with frameworks. They've built systems that make the right thing the easy thing. System, willpower. Say it again. System, willpower, discipline is fragile. Systems are unbreakable. You've been told discipline means grinding harder, pushing longer, forcing yourself through pain. That's not discipline. That's exhaustion dressed up as virtue. Discipline is not about fighting your instincts. It's about designing around them, because the truth is, motivation is a liar. It's unreliable. It vanishes when you need it most. You can't build a future on something that disappears every Monday morning. But systems? Systems are solid. They don't care if you're tired. They don't care if you're inspired. They just execute. That's the key. When your life runs on systems, your emotions stop running your life. Remove choice. Remove chaos. Every choice is a drain. Every decision costs focus. And when you spend all day deciding, you end the day depleted. Systems remove choice. And that's freedom. Think about it. You don't need to feel like brushing your teeth. It's automatic. You don't need to get motivated to lock your door. It's habit. That's what you must build with your finances, your time, your habits, your health. Automatic processes, pre-decided patterns, non-negotiable rituals. Stop asking, should I do this today? The answer is always yes, because the system already decided for you. That's the beauty of design. You create structure once, and it serves you forever. System, willpower. Automate what drains you. Let's get practical. If it's repetitive, automate it. If it's emotional, structure it. If it's important, schedule it. Automation isn't laziness, it's leadership. You can automate your savings. Set a transfer the day your income lands. You'll never forget to save again. You can automate your bills. Remove late fees, remove stress. You can automate your focus. Use time blocks. Create fixed hours for deep work. No distractions, no debate. When you automate the boring, you free the brilliant. Your creativity expands when your brain stops juggling chaos. That's the secret the high performers know. They don't wake up wondering what to do. They wake up executing. You have a choice. Keep relying on willpower, or build systems that make success inevitable. That's the key. The system of routines are not punishment. They are protection. Every routine you build is a shield against inconsistency. Morning routine, evening shutdown, workout ritual, planning block. These are not random habits. These are structural reinforcements, because the truth is simple. You won't rise to your goals. You will fall to your systems. If your system is weak, your success will crumble under pressure. But if your system is strong, your success will survive emotion, fatigue, and chaos. Discipline makes you push once. Systems make you win repeatedly. That's the power of structure. It removes the need to remember, decide, or justify. It just is. When systems replace feelings, here's the shift that changes everything. Stop asking, "How do I feel?" Start asking, "What does my system say?" You don't need to feel confident to act. You just need to act according to your design. The system becomes your anchor when emotions swing. You'll have bad days, that's guaranteed. But if your habits are automated, your worst day still produces results. That's how consistency compounds. Think of it like this. A disciplined person tries to save money every month. A systemized person saves automatically. A disciplined person tries to wake up early. A systemized person has a routine that makes it impossible to sleep late. Discipline depends on willpower. Systems depend on design, and design always wins. Build systems that think for you. You don't need to manage your life minute by minute. You need to engineer it. Create triggers that activate behavior. Example, the gym clothes on your bed the night before. That's a system. Use templates, checklists, calendars. Remove thinking from the tasks that repeat, because thinking drains energy, and energy is your most expensive resource. Your goal is not to remember everything. It's to remember nothing that can be automated. Let your system think for you, so your mind can focus on creating, building, and expanding. Because when your brain isn't busy surviving, it can finally start thriving. System, willpower, the freedom of predictability. Here's what most people get wrong. They think systems make life boring. They think structure kills freedom. No, it's the opposite. Systems create freedom. Because when you know what's coming, your mind relaxes. When your time is organized, your creativity flourishes. Predictability doesn't imprison you. It protects your potential. You can't create in chaos. You can't focus while guessing. You can't grow without rhythm. Every artist, athlete, and entrepreneur who's reached mastery has one thing in common: systems. They've automated their discipline so they can focus on excellence. They've stopped fighting themselves. They've started designing themselves. That's the game. That's how you win. The real secret to consistency isn't about grit. It's about structure. You're not inconsistent because you're weak. You're inconsistent because you're unorganized. If your life has no rhythm, your results will have no pattern. If your system is unstable, your progress will be unpredictable. That's why you can work hard and still feel stuck, because effort without structure is just noise. But the moment you create a system, a repeatable pattern, your results stop being random. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be programmed. And programming isn't about control. It's about liberation, because the system frees you from decision fatigue. It frees you from guilt. It frees you from inconsistency. That's the reward of structure. Closing transition systems are the new discipline. They make your success automatic. They make your effort efficient. They make your results predictable. You don't need motivation. You need mechanics. You don't need to feel ready. You need to feel structured. That's how money, time, and energy start to obey you. Not because you forced them, but because you designed them. You've learned to remove choice. Now it's time to remove emotion, because emotion is the silent saboteur of every plan you build. So let's go deeper. Let's expose the truth about emotional spending, impulse decisions, and the chaos they cause. Chapter 3. Emotional spenders never win long-term. You don't buy because you need. You buy because you're trying to feel something. That's the trap. You're not spending money. You're spending emotion. Every swipe, every add to cart, every late-night purchase you justify as self-care. It's not about the product. It's about the feeling, the temporary high, the illusion of control. The brief moment where you tell yourself, I deserve this. But here's the truth. You can't build long-term freedom on short-term feelings. You can't buy your way out of emptiness. You can't spend your way into peace, because emotional spending is a symptom. It's the behavior that hides a deeper imbalance, the lack of internal structure. And until you fix the structure inside, you'll keep breaking the balance outside. You buy to feel in control, not to build control. Every emotional spender is chasing the same thing, control. You buy when you feel powerless. You buy when life feels uncertain. You buy to feel like you're making a decision, but you're not building control. You're buying comfort. And comfort is expensive when it's purchased out of weakness. That's the key. When your emotions drive your wallet, chaos drives your life. It's not about money. It's about management. It's not about overspending. It's about understructuring. You have a choice, to feed the feeling or to fix the pattern. Because emotional spending doesn't heal you. It hides you. It distracts you from the discomfort of responsibility. You feel broke not because you don't earn enough, but because you keep paying to escape the pain of discipline. That's the price of emotion-driven behavior. The rich feel first, then decide. Here's what separates the rich from the broke. The rich feel before they decide. The poor decide based on feeling. That's the difference between mastery and reaction. The rich still have emotions. They just don't obey them. They pause. They evaluate. They think through their feelings instead of letting feelings think for them. They ask, will this move me closer to order? Will this support my system? Is this decision emotional or is it strategic? That's structure. That's self-control. Because wealth isn't built in moments of excitement. It's built in moments of restraint. Every impulsive decision steals from your structured future. Every emotional purchase delays your financial freedom. You can't grow when you're busy soothing yourself. Structure your emotions. Before you structure your finances, repeat this until it's truth. Structure your emotions before you structure your finances. Because if your emotions are chaotic, your money will be too. You can't track your spending when you're spending to feel better. You can't build savings when you treat money like therapy. You can't create structure when your emotions keep breaking it. The outer mess mirrors the inner one. Your wallet reflects your mindset. If you want clean numbers, you need calm emotions. If you want stable growth, you need emotional regulation. That's the foundation of all wealth. You have to master your mood before you master your money. That's the key. Pause. Before you purchase, here's a system you can build right now. The 24-hour rule. When you want to buy something that's not a necessity, pause for 24 hours. Don't forbid it. Just delay it. You'll be shocked how many needs turn into, nah, I'm fine after one day. That's not restriction. That's rewiring, because every delay strengthens discipline. Every pause builds power, impulse fades, clarity rises. Structure wins, that's the system you need. Slow decisions, structured emotions, clear boundaries. You don't need to stop spending, you need to start deciding. That's how adults handle money. That's how winners handle emotion. Structure your emotions before you structure your finances. The hidden cost of emotional spending. Every emotional purchase carries a double price. The first cost is the money you spend. The second cost is the respect you lose for yourself. Because every time you act from impulse, you teach your mind that emotion runs the show. And when emotion runs the show, logic gets fired. That's why you keep promising to do better next time, but next time never comes. You've trained yourself to obey the feeling instead of the plan. That's not freedom. That's emotional slavery. You're not weak, you're untrained. You've built a habit of surrendering to the moment. It's not about guilt. It's about growth. Because growth begins the moment you stop lying to yourself about your spending patterns. You're not rewarding yourself. You're relieving pressure. You're not investing in joy. You're escaping discomfort. That's the cycle. And cycles don't break until systems replace them. Replace emotion with structure. Here's the fix. You don't stop emotional spending by suppressing emotion. You stop it by creating a system that contains it. Budgeting isn't punishment. It's permission. It gives your money boundaries and direction. Create a feel-good fund, an account dedicated to pleasure, guilt-free, but structured. You decide the limit in advance. Once it's spent, it's done. Now, when you want to indulge, you can't be, but the indulgence is pre-approved by your system, not your emotion. That's emotional intelligence in action. That's how you build respect for your future self. Structure your emotions before you structure your finances. That's the rule. That's the rhythm. That's the reset. You don't need their permission. You need your boundaries. You don't need anyone to tell you how to spend. You don't need society's approval. You don't need your friends' validation. You just need your boundaries. Because emotional spending is often about external approval. You buy to impress. You buy to fit in. You buy to prove. But every time you try to prove, you lose power. Every time you chase validation, you trade stability for appearance. And appearance doesn't build freedom. It builds pressure. You have a choice. Be liked for a moment, or be respected for a lifetime. That's the key. The power of emotional minimalism. You don't need to numb your emotions. You need to narrow them. Emotional minimalism is learning to feel deeply without reacting destructively. You can feel sadness without shopping. You can feel stress without swiping. You can feel joy without overindulging. That's maturity. That's structure. That's freedom. Because the strongest people don't suppress emotion, they structure it. They let feelings exist, but they don't let feelings dictate. They make decisions from peace, not pressure. From clarity, not craving. That's the mindset that multiplies money. That's the discipline that creates lasting peace. Closing, transition, emotional spending is the silent thief of freedom. It's not just taking your money. It's taking your mastery. You've learned the truth. You can't build control by buying comfort. You can't build wealth with unstructured emotion. Now it's time to shift from emotion to ritual. Because respect isn't a feeling. It's a practice. And if you want money to respect you, you must start respecting it daily. Chapter 4. Respect is ritual. You can't command what you disrespect. You can't control what you constantly ignore. You can't attract what you refuse to honor. Money is not random. It's not emotional. It's obedient, and like any obedient force, it follows respect. That's the rule. That's the law. You don't earn the right to manage more until you master how you manage what you already have. You want abundance, but you treat money like an afterthought. You say you're ready for wealth, but your actions scream indifference. Every time you forget where your money went, every time you swipe without awareness, every time you ignore your numbers, you send a signal, I'm not ready. And money listens. Money listens to how you behave, not what you say. Respect is ritual, and ritual is the bridge between chaos and mastery. Let's talk about that. When you respect something, you give it structure. You give it time. You give it energy. You don't wait for motivation. You build systems that protect your priorities. That's what rituals are. They are structured acts of respect. A ritual says, "This matters." A ritual says, "I don't leave this to chance." A ritual says, "I'm in control." That's why the most financially grounded people in the world don't treat money emotionally. They treat it rhythmically. They track every expense. They review their numbers weekly. They plan their month before it begins. Not because they love spreadsheets, but because they understand something most people never grasp. Respect is the rent you pay for abundance. Say that again. Respect is the rent you pay for abundance. You can't demand financial peace while living in financial ignorance. You can't demand overflow while tolerating neglect. Every time you avoid your bank statement, every time you delay your budget, every time you overspend to escape boredom, you're breaking your ritual. And when you break your ritual, you break your relationship with abundance. Money doesn't flow to the careless. It flows to the conscious. You want freedom? Then you must become a caretaker of flow, because the truth is, discipline without respect is just punishment. You can't build wealth out of shame. You build it out of reverence. You don't track your money because you're scared. You track it because you're grateful. You don't review your week because you're controlling. You review it because you're humble enough to learn. Respect transforms what feels like work into what becomes worship. Here's what that looks like in practice. Every week, take 30 minutes. No distractions, no noise. Sit down with your numbers. Look at what came in. Look at what went out. Don't judge. Just observe. Ask yourself, where did I show respect? Where did I show neglect? That's awareness. And awareness is the foundation of control. Then build small rituals of order around that awareness. Monday mornings, review your accounts. Fridays, update your budget and plan next week's cash flow. End of each month, reflect on your goals, your progress, and your patterns. That's not boring. That's sacred. Because when you do this consistently, you train your subconscious to see money differently. You stop reacting to it. You start leading it. You see, people think wealth starts with income. It doesn't. It starts with intimacy. If you don't know your numbers, you can't grow your numbers. If you don't respect your flow, you'll never expand your flow. That's the truth most people ignore. They chase new income streams while their existing ones leak through neglect. They want more money but don't know where their last paycheck went. That's not ambition, and that's avoidance dressed as productivity. And money knows. Money always knows. When you treat it like a burden, it behaves like one. When you treat it like a relationship, it deepens. Respect turns chaos into clarity. Clarity turns emotion into logic. And logic, repeated long enough, turns into wealth. Think about it this way. Imagine two people earning the same income. Person A checks their finances once a month, maybe. They guess their spending. They hope their card balance is fine. Person B, on the other hand, has rituals. Every Friday, they review every transaction. Every Sunday, they plan their next week's spending. They set automatic transfers to savings before they ever see the money. Same income, completely different outcome. Why? Because one respects flow. The other resists it. Respect creates rhythm, and rhythm creates retention. Order creates overflow. It always does. You don't need more apps. You don't need more motivation. You need a ritual. A ritual that says, I am the kind of person who manages with clarity. A ritual that says, money respects me because I respect it. The power of ritual isn't in the action. It's in the consistency. You don't brush your teeth once and expect lifelong hygiene. You don't meditate once and expect eternal peace. Why would you treat your money differently? Respect is not a one-time event. It's a continuous declaration of worth. When you treat money with order, it responds with trust. And trust compounds faster than interest. So from today, make your financial rituals sacred. When you open your budgeting app, that's your altar. When you set your savings transfer, That's your offering. When you track your progress, that's your gratitude, because wealth is not just built in the bank. It's built in behavior. Respect the process, and the process will reward you. You have a choice. You can continue drifting in financial confusion, wondering why money avoids you, or you can build the rituals that prove you're ready for more. Respect is the rent you pay for abundance, and the rent is due every day. Pay it with structure. Pay it with awareness. Pay it with pride. Because when you respect what you have, the universe sends you more to respect. Chapter 5. The System of Self-Control. You don't need more control. You need fewer opportunities to lose it. That's the truth no one wants to hear. People say, I just need to be more disciplined. No, you don't. You need a structure that makes discipline automatic, because control is not about force. It's not about fighting temptation every day. It's about designing an environment where temptation loses its power. Control is designed, not forced. Every day you face hundreds of choices. What to eat, when to work, when to rest. Each decision drains energy. That's why you start strong and end weak. That's why your willpower fades by evening. That's why your best plans collapse when you're tired. It's not because you lack self-control. It's because you lack systems. Systems protect you from yourself. They turn your best intentions into repeatable actions. They take what used to require energy and make it effortless. That's what the wealthy understand. That's what the disciplined embody. They don't rely on memory. They rely on method. They don't trust willpower. They trust workflow. You think you need more motivation. What you really need is automation. Let's make that real. If you struggle to save, don't try harder. Set up automatic transfers the day your paycheck arrives. If you overspend, don't lecture yourself. Build a spending rule, a structure that locks in your limits before emotion can override logic. If you skip workouts, don't feel guilty. Put them on your calendar as non-negotiables, like meetings with your future self. Every choice you pre-decide is a moment of freedom you save later. Every structure you build is a barrier against chaos, because chaos feeds on free choice, and systems eliminate it. Let's break it down. Routine replaces decision fatigue. When your days follow rhythm, your mind can focus on mastery. You shouldn't wake up wondering what to do. You should wake up executing what's already decided. The average person wastes their potential deciding the same things every day. What should I eat? When should I start? How much should I save? Each question chips away at your energy. Each choice drains your clarity. The solution? Remove the question. Preset your meals. Block your work hours. Automate your money. Predictability isn't boring. It's power. It's the quiet confidence of someone who knows exactly what happens next. People who struggle with control are usually improvising their lives. They're reacting, not designing, but you can choose to design. You can make your day predictable enough that success becomes a byproduct, not a battle. You can make your finances flow automatically. You can make your health non-negotiable, because systems create space. Space creates clarity, and clarity is where power lives. Let's take an example. A man decides to take control of his mornings. He used to wake up late, scroll his phone, and rush through chaos. Now he designs his system. He sets his alarm across the room. He preps his coffee station the night before. He writes his top 3 priorities before bed. When morning comes, he doesn't think. He executes. He doesn't debate with his emotions. He follows design. By 9 a.m., he's already ahead. And that momentum compounds daily. That's the power of systemized control. It's not about being robotic. It's about being efficiently human. You still feel emotion, but it no longer dictates your direction. You see, structure is freedom. The more predictable your systems, the freer your mind becomes. Most people confuse freedom with flexibility. They think doing whatever they want is freedom. But chaos feels like freedom until it costs you everything. True freedom is designed. True control is built into your routine. That's why the most productive people live by schedule. Not because they're rigid, but because they know unpredictability kills results. When you know what comes next, you conserve power. When you conserve power, you make better choices. That's how self-control becomes effortless. You don't have to fight impulses when your environment fights them for you. Let's get practical. Here's how to design your system of self-control. Identify your weak spots. Where do you lose control? Is it spending? Food? Focus? You can't systemize what you don't define. Build friction where you fail. If you overspend online, delete saved payment methods. If you waste time on your phone, use app blockers. If you skip workouts, set clothes out the night before. Every friction point is a friend, not a punishment. Automate what matters. Schedule transfers to savings. Set recurring bills to auto-pay. Make your healthy habits default, not optional. Control isn't about constant awareness. It's about smart design that removes decision entirely. Control is designed, not forced. Say it again. Control is designed, not forced. You have a choice. You can continue trying to feel ready every day. Or you can build systems that make readiness irrelevant. Motivation fades. Systems don't discipline tires. Design sustains. When your life is structured, you stop leaking energy into unnecessary choices. You stop wrestling with yourself. You start operating like someone who expects success, because your life is built to deliver it. This is what the elite understand. They don't chase control. They design it. You don't need to control every outcome. You just need to control the inputs, the systems, the sequences, the rituals. You don't need more willpower. You need fewer temptations. You don't need to fight your emotions. You need to remove their triggers. When you design your day, you design your destiny. Control is not in the fight. It's in the framework. So stop trying to force control. Start building it. Because control isn't an emotion. It's an environment. And the moment you understand that, you stop trying harder and start living smarter. You have a choice. You can keep living reactively, starting over every Monday, breaking every promise, apologizing to yourself for failing again. Or you can design the systems that make success inevitable. Control is designed, not forced. Remember that. Live by it. Build for it. Because when your life is designed for control, freedom follows by default. You've learned to design your control. You've learned that systems make discipline automatic. Now it's time to elevate that principle beyond your habits, into how you handle opportunity. You've built control. Now let's talk about alignment. Chapter 6. Stop managing, start engineering. Most people spend their lives managing problems, putting out fires, cleaning up messes, apologizing for mistakes that could have been prevented. That's not mastery. That's survival. You don't rise by managing chaos. You rise by engineering order. Managers react. Engineers design. That's the difference between exhaustion and elevation. You don't want to spend your life constantly fixing things. You want to build systems so strong that problems fix themselves. Engineers build freedom. That's the key. Look around. Everything efficient in your life was engineered. Your phone, your car, your city. But when it comes to your own life, most people stop engineering. They start guessing. They start reacting. They start managing. And then they wonder why their days feel out of control. You don't need another productivity app. You need an engineering mindset. An engineer doesn't wait for problems to appear. They build safeguards before they do. They think in systems, not emotions. They measure, test, and improve. Imagine if you approached your habits, your money, your energy like an engineer, predictable, logical, structured. You wouldn't need motivation. You'd have a framework. And frameworks don't fail. People do when they forget to build them. Stop managing. Start engineering. Managers say, I'll deal with it when it happens. Engineers say, it won't happen because I designed for it. That's the difference. If you keep managing your finances, your schedule, your focus, you'll always be one step behind. But if you start engineering them, you'll always be 2 steps ahead. When you design your life like a machine, you eliminate most of what drains you. You don't need to remember every detail. You build a checklist. You don't need to make every decision from scratch. You create a framework. You don't need to solve every problem again. You build a system that solves it automatically, because engineers build freedom. Freedom isn't found in chaos. It's built through design. Think about how an airplane works. A pilot doesn't manage the flight by intuition. Every movement, every response, every backup, it's all designed. Pre-checked, pre-tested. That's why flying is safe. It's not luck. It's structure. Now ask yourself, is your day as structured as a flight plan? Do you have checklists? Do you have systems that prepare you before the storm hits? Or do you keep hoping things will work themselves out? Hope is not a strategy. Engineering is. Let's make this real. Start by engineering your decisions. Every day you make hundreds of small choices, and those small choices drain massive energy. Engineers remove decision fatigue through frameworks. For example, meals. Create preset weekly menus. Decide once, repeat forever. Work. Block your hours by focus type. Creation in the morning. Admin in the afternoon. Money. Automate your savings, bills, and investments. You're not managing your habits. You're engineering your environment. You're building structures that make success the default, not the exception, because the truth is, most failures are not due to lack of talent. They're due to lack of systems. You have a choice. You can keep reacting to your life, or you can start designing it. Managers wake up asking, what needs fixing today? Engineers wake up knowing the system already handles it. That's not luck, that's design. When you build systems that prevent chaos, you gain clarity. When you gain clarity, you gain time. And time is the real currency of freedom. That's what engineering gives you. Time back. Mental bandwidth back. Energy back. Because every repetitive problem is just a system waiting to be built. Here's how you engineer your life like a machine. Identify recurring problems. Anything that frustrates you twice should never happen a third time. Write it down. Build a system around it. Late to meetings? Pre-schedule reminders. Miss deadlines? Use a visual task board. Forget to save? Automate it. Engineering starts where frustration repeats. Create a feedback loop. Engineers don't just build once, they iterate. Review your systems weekly. What worked? What broke? What can be simplified? That's how good systems become great ones. Document your process. Never rely on memory. Document everything, from how you plan your week to how you execute your tasks. If it's not written, it's fragile. Writing is how you build repeatability. When you live by systems, you eliminate uncertainty. And when uncertainty dies, confidence grows. That's why engineers rarely panic. They expect problems, but they design for them. You want that same calm in your life? Stop managing problems. Start predicting them. You don't rise by reacting. You rise by designing ahead. That's how you win. And remember this. Freedom doesn't come from being spontaneous. Freedom comes from being prepared. When your life is engineered, you don't need to fight fires, and you prevent them. You don't waste time correcting, you optimize. You don't spend energy on what-ifs. You focus on what's next. The person who engineers their environment always beats the person who depends on motivation. Always. Because the engineer wins before the fight begins. You have a choice. You can spend your days managing chaos, reacting, adjusting, and apologizing. Or you can build your systems, designing, preventing, and leading. Managers live in stress. Engineers live in structure, and structure is peace. Structure is power. Structure is freedom, because engineers build freedom. Say it again. Engineers build freedom. You don't need to control everything. You just need to design what you can control, and let the system handle the rest. That's mastery. That's respect for systems, so from today forward, stop managing. Start engineering, build the checklist. Automate the task. Simplify the workflow. Because when your life runs like a well-built machine, you don't chase success. Success is built into the system. You've learned how to engineer your world. You've learned that systems create peace and prevent chaos. Now it's time to take that engineering mindset inward. Because the next system is built in your mind. You designed your habits. Now it's time to design your thoughts. Chapter 7. Money loves clarity. You can't attract what you can't define. You can't multiply what you refuse to measure. You can't grow what you never track. Money loves clarity. It doesn't follow confusion. It doesn't obey chaos. It doesn't reward guessing. It follows order. It follows direction. It follows precision. You keep wondering why your money never stays, why it slips through your fingers, why your bank balance feels like a revolving door. The truth? It's not because you're unlucky. It's not because you're unworthy. It's because your financial life is foggy. Ambiguity repels results, always. The fog of someday I'll save. Someday I'll invest. Someday I'll get serious. That's not a plan. That's an escape. Vague intentions create vague outcomes. The person who says, I want to be rich, rarely becomes rich. But the person who says, I will save $500 this month every month, build something real. Clarity isn't about dreaming big. It's about defining small. Because precision, not passion, builds wealth. You think emotion moves money? It doesn't. Direction does. Money doesn't care about your enthusiasm. It cares about your execution. That's the key. Clarity commands cash. Say it again. Clarity commands cash. You can't manifest what you can't measure. You can't manage what you don't track. You can't master what you refuse to define. What you measure multiplies. There's a reason successful businesses audit every dollar. They know the truth. What gets measured gets managed. What gets managed grows. When you track your finances, you bring them under your command. When you don't, you drift. Think about it. You check your social media stats daily. You track your likes, your follows, your reach, but you can't remember how much you spent on food last week, and you wonder why your business, your savings, your future feel unstable. Money isn't emotional. It's mathematical. It doesn't respond to hope. It responds to clarity. Start simple. Track your inflows and outflows. Name every dollar. Give it a job. When you assign purpose, you create precision. And precision creates power. That's how professionals treat their money, but as data, not drama. Stop saying, I'm bad with money. You're not bad with money, and you're bad with measurement. That's the fix. Set specific savings targets. $100 a week, $1,000 a month. Whatever your number is, write it down. Then track it every week. Money respects clarity because clarity is respect. When you measure, you show you care. The power of defined metrics. Ask yourself, how will I know I'm winning? If you can't answer that, you're already losing. Every financially free person knows their numbers, their income, their expenses, their net worth, their savings rate. They don't guess. They don't assume. They know. Because clarity is not just awareness, it's accountability. Let's get practical. Have a daily 5-minute review. Open your banking app. Look at yesterday's transactions. Have a weekly 15-minute audit. See where your money actually went. Have a monthly clarity meeting and with yourself, your spouse, or your spreadsheet. Those aren't chores. They're rituals of wealth. Clarity creates calm. You stop fearing your statements. You stop avoiding your balance. You stop lying to yourself. You face the numbers, and the numbers start obeying you. Because when you track it, you train it. When you measure it, you master it. And when you master it, it multiplies. The illusion of busyness. Here's a hard truth. Most people confuse activity with clarity. They hustle. They grind. They work more hours. But they never define what winning looks like. They chase everything and commit to nothing. You can't build wealth in chaos. You can't manage what you can't define. You say you want freedom, but freedom demands a framework. Want more money? Define more. Want financial stability? Quantify stability. Want success? Measure success. Without metrics, motivation dies. Because the mind can't stay loyal to what's undefined. Remember this. Money doesn't follow emotion. It follows organization. Clarity creates momentum. When you gain clarity, you gain confidence. When you gain confidence, you take control. When you take control, you create momentum. Every decision becomes simpler. Every dollar gains direction. Every goal gets measurable. And suddenly, life feels lighter because uncertainty drains energy and clarity restores it. If your goals feel heavy, it's not because they're impossible. It's because they're undefined. You have to make them measurable. Define the win. Define the loss. Define the line. Write it. Track it. Repeat it. That's how professionals move. That's how wealth flows. From confusion to command. Let me be blunt. If your finances are confusing, it's not because money is complex. It's because you've avoided clarity. Avoidance is expensive. Confusion is costly. But clarity compounds. A person with clarity can out-earn, out-save, and outgrow someone with talent. Every time. Because talent without structure burns out. Discipline without direction stalls. But clarity builds empires. It's not about hustle. It's about awareness. It's not about luck. It's about metrics. It's not about guessing. It's about tracking. Say it again. Clarity commands cash. Real-world rituals. You want to make clarity your habit? Here's how. Morning metric check. Start each day knowing your balance. Not to fear it, to lead it. Weekly review ritual. Every Sunday, analyze the flow. What came in, what went out, what stayed. Monthly clarity reset. Revisit your goals. Adjust, refocus, reset your targets. These rituals make your finances feel alive. They make you conscious. They make you powerful. Because clarity isn't a spreadsheet. It's a system of self-respect. You don't track money to control it. You track it to cooperate with it. You don't force wealth, you focus it. That's the mindset shift. That's the system shift. You have a choice. You can keep guessing, hoping, and wishing. Or you can lead, measure, and master. Money doesn't reward noise. It rewards clarity. So stop chasing. Start defining. Stop reacting. Start recording. Because clarity commands cash, always. And when your money is clear, your life becomes clear. Now you understand what clarity creates. Next we go deeper. You've defined the goal. Now it's time to protect the flow. Chapter 8. Automate the boring. Energize the essential. You're tired, not because you're doing too much. You're tired because you're doing too much of the wrong things. You waste your focus on repetition. You waste your energy on maintenance. You waste your life managing tasks that could manage themselves. The truth is simple. Automation fuels elevation. You want freedom? Build systems. You want peace? Eliminate friction. You want energy? Remove repetition. Automation isn't about laziness. It's about leverage. It's not about doing less. It's about doing what matters more. That's the key. The energy leak. You don't see every day. You make 1,000 tiny decisions that drain you. What to wear, what to eat, when to start, who to reply to, and you think discipline is the answer, so you try harder. You think willpower will save you, so you push longer. But discipline without design collapses. Willpower without systems breaks. You don't need more control. You need fewer choices. Because every unnecessary decision burns energy that could have been used for creation, strategy, or deep work. Automation isn't a luxury, it's survival. It's not for the lazy, it's for the leaders. Say it again. Automation fuels elevation. Systems reclaim. Your focus is a finite currency. You spend it every day, whether you mean to or not. The question is, are you investing it in what matters or wasting it on what doesn't? Systems protect your focus from being stolen by routine. When you automate the small, you liberate the mind for the meaningful. Here's how it looks in practice. Automate your payments. Let your bills run on autopilot so you never waste a second on due dates. Pre-plan your meals. Don't ask, what's for lunch? Decide once for the week and move on. Use recurring task systems, calendar alerts, digital reminders, auto emails, templates. These are not just conveniences. They're clarity tools. Because every system you design says one thing to your brain. I respect my time, and time is energy. Time is attention. Time is your true wealth. Stop worshiping. Busyness. Most people wear busy like a badge of honor. But busyness is not productivity. Busyness is noise. Every hour you spend on a repetitive task is an hour stolen from your purpose. You say you're building a dream, but you're drowning in distractions. You say you want freedom, but you cling to control. Automation is trust in motion. It's the decision to let systems work so you can lead. You don't have to touch everything to ensure it's working. You don't have to micromanage to stay in control. That's the illusion that kills your energy. Automation doesn't make you detached. It makes you efficient. It doesn't distance you from your goals. It gets you there faster, because every system is a servant, and every servant gives you more room to lead. The two categories of energy, you have two kinds of energy, maintenance energy and creation energy. Maintenance energy keeps you alive. Creation energy moves you forward. Most people spend 90% of their day maintaining and wonder why they never grow. They repeat the same routines, they handle the same problems, they fix the same messes. You can't build a new life if you're stuck maintaining the old one. Automation frees you from maintenance. Automation shifts your focus from keeping up to moving ahead. And that's the transformation. You stop reacting and you start engineering. You stop managing chaos and you start designing clarity. Automation fuels elevation because it replaces repetition with innovation. Design, your default winners don't wake up and wing it. They build systems that remove the need to think about what's next, because decisions are energy, and wasted decisions are wasted life. Design your defaults. Default morning routine. Wake, move, plan. No thinking, just flow. Default spending structure. Automate bills, savings, and investments. Let money move where it needs to, without you watching every step. Default creative block. The same time, every day. Non-negotiable. Defaults are discipline without the drama. They protect you from your weaker moments. They carry you when motivation fades. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. That's not weakness. That's human nature. And that's why systems exist. To protect your best self from your tired self. Automation is self-respect. You don't automate because you're lazy. You automate because you value your focus. Automation is an act of respect. Respect for your future, your vision, your purpose. When you automate the routine, you honor your energy. You tell yourself, I won't waste genius on the mundane. That's how professionals operate. They don't wake up guessing. They wake up executing. They don't chase efficiency. They design it. Remember this. You don't get rewarded for how hard you work. You get rewarded for how well you systemize what matters. Automation is not about control. It's about clarity. It's not about effort. It's about elevation. Automation fuels elevation. Say it until it sinks in. Practical shifts you can make today. Let's make this real. Automate reminders. Every recurring bill, task, or meeting, put it on autopilot. Let software remember what you shouldn't. Batch decisions. Plan meals once a week. Create templates for emails, reports, or messages you send repeatedly. Systemize your workspace. Keep the same layout. Reduce choices. Build habits that require zero thought. Small automations create massive clarity because every decision removed is energy regained. And when you regain energy, you regain momentum. Remember, energy is wealth. Where your attention goes, your results grow. Automation ensures your attention stays where it belongs on what truly moves your life forward. The elevation principle. The lazy say, I'll do it when I feel like it. The leader says, I'll build a system so it happens automatically. That's why one burns out and the other breaks through. Systems are the invisible engines behind every great life. They work when you're tired. They work when you're busy. They work when you're gone. Automation multiplies your effort without multiplying your exhaustion. Automation fuels elevation because it makes discipline effortless. And that's the goal. You don't want to fight your habits forever. You want to engineer them so success becomes your default state. Automation is not the end of effort. It's the beginning of effortless mastery. You've learned to automate the boring, to protect your energy for what truly matters. You've stopped reacting. You've started designing. Now it's time to guard what you've built. Because systems mean nothing if you let distractions invade your focus. You mastered automation. Now, master boundaries. Chapter 9. Wealth is the byproduct of rhythm. Discipline is not a one-time act. Success is not a single victory. Wealth is not an accident. They are all the result of rhythm. Predictable, repeatable, and intentional rhythm. The world rewards consistency, not bursts of effort. It's not what you do once that changes your life. It's what you repeat without fail. Say it with me. Rhythm builds riches. That's the truth most people can't stomach. They want fireworks. They don't want the drumbeat. They want excitement, not endurance. But money doesn't chase excitement. Money chases stability. You don't attract abundance by doing more. You attract it by doing what matters consistently. The law of predictable excellence. You think success is about luck, but it's about loops. Loops of behavior. Loops of commitment. Loops of excellence. Every successful person has a rhythm. They wake up the same way. They plan the same way. They execute the same way. Because repetition builds reliability. And reliability builds trust. People trust you when your results are predictable. Money trusts you when your systems are repeatable. That's the key. You can't be chaotic and expect wealth to stay. You can't be impulsive and expect consistency in return. Wealth doesn't follow excitement. It follows rhythm. Rhythm builds riches. Rhythm is how you build momentum. Momentum doesn't start big. It starts small. But it grows only if you repeat. The problem is, most people never get past the first phase. They start strong, but they stop when it gets boring. They chase novelty instead of mastery. But the wealthy understand this. Boredom is the bridge to greatness. Rhythm is the path through monotony into mastery. Every day you show up at the same time, doing the same thing, building the same system. You're sending a message to life. I'm stable. I'm ready for more. Rhythm doesn't just create results. It creates readiness. You're building capacity. You're training your nervous system for success. You're teaching your brain to expect performance, not permission. And once that rhythm is established, your progress becomes inevitable. Because wealth doesn't need to be forced when rhythm is in motion. It just flows. Rhythm builds riches. The hidden cost of inconsistency. Every time you break your rhythm, you reset your progress. You waste momentum. You drain trust. You confuse your direction. The cost of inconsistency is invisible, but it's massive. It steals your compound growth. Think of it like a heartbeat. When it's steady, life flows. When it stops, everything collapses. Your habits are the heartbeat of your success. Interrupt the rhythm, and you interrupt the life force of your goals. That's why consistency matters more than intensity. One small step repeated daily beats one giant leap once a year. You don't need to work harder. You need to work rhythmically, because wealth doesn't reward speed. It rewards sustainability. Rhythm in practice. Let's make it real. If you're a creator, consistent uploads beat viral bursts. If you're an entrepreneur, steady marketing beats chaotic launches. If you're building wealth, automated investing beats emotional trading. Rhythm is the invisible hand guiding success. Everyday repetition compounds into results that others can't explain. They'll call it luck. They'll call it talent. But you'll know the truth. You designed rhythm. You built patterns. You stayed the course. Rhythm builds riches. That's why your daily rituals matter more than your occasional breakthroughs. Your daily journaling, your weekly reviews, your monthly audits, your quarterly reflections. Those cycles don't just track progress, they create it. They teach your mind to align with success rather than chase it. Wealth is rhythm, materialized. Money loves predictability. Money hates chaos. Money avoids uncertainty. Money flows to the predictable. Think about it. Investors put money where patterns exist. They don't trust randomness. They trust rhythm. When your financial behavior becomes predictable, your results become scalable. When your work habits become rhythmic, your impact becomes inevitable. You don't need more inspiration. You need more rhythm. You don't need more motivation. You need more structure. Motivation burns out. Rhythm doesn't. You can't depend on feeling good to act right. You act right until you start feeling good. That's the secret. The rhythm builds the emotion, not the other way around. That's why the most successful people seem calm when others are panicking. They don't need to think. They have rhythm. Their systems carry them through. And that's the difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs wait for motivation. Professionals build rhythm. Rhythm builds riches. Protecting the rhythm. Here's the hard truth. Life will constantly try to break your rhythm. Emergencies, distractions, people, feelings. Everyone will try to pull you off your tempo. But you can't afford to dance to anyone else's beat. You have to protect your rhythm like it's sacred. Because it is. Set boundaries. Say no to unnecessary noise. Schedule your focus, not your free time. When rhythm is broken, repair it fast. Don't waste days feeling guilty. Rebuild the pattern immediately. One broken day is a mistake. 2 broken days is a new habit. Don't let interruptions become your identity. You're the conductor of your own life. You set the tempo. You decide the flow. Because wealth doesn't come to those who start strong. It comes to those who stay steady. The energy of repetition. There's something sacred about rhythm. It grounds you. It stabilizes you. It humbles you. When you repeat excellence, it becomes identity. And once it becomes identity, it no longer feels like effort. It becomes who you are. That's why rhythm builds confidence. Confidence isn't built in bursts. It's built in cycles. You don't just act confident. You become it through rhythm. You don't just chase wealth. You create it through repetition. You build a body of work not by force, but by flow. Not by speed, but by sequence. Rhythm is the law of life. Everything that grows does so in rhythm. The seasons, the heart, the tides, the breath. You're not above rhythm. You are rhythm, and when you align with it, everything you want begins to align with you. Rhythm builds riches. Say it again until it sinks into your bones. You've built rhythm. You've created flow. You've learned that consistency is your greatest currency. But rhythm alone isn't enough. You must also guard what you've built. Because every rhythm needs protection from distraction, intrusion, and noise. You've learned to move with precision. Now it's time to protect your power. Chapter 10. Build systems that outlive you. Approx 1,050 words, 8 minutes. At some point, you must ask yourself a simple question. Do I want to work for results or design results that work for me? That question separates the hustler from the builder. It separates the person who burns out from the person who builds an empire that keeps going, even when they don't. Because here's the truth. Real wealth is not money. It's systems. Systems that produce. Systems that multiply. Systems that outlive you. You have a choice. You can chase outcomes, or you can build machines that deliver them. The death of manual. Living most people live manually. They do everything from scratch, every day. They make the same decisions. They fight the same fires. They repeat the same routines. That's not mastery, that's maintenance. And maintenance is the silent killer of momentum. When everything in your life depends on your constant effort, you are the bottleneck. You are the problem. If you stop, everything stops. But here's what the builders understand. Design once, benefit forever. That's the mantra of creators who understand leverage. They don't want to do the thing again and again. They want to design a system that does it for them. It's not about laziness. It's about legacy. Legacy is a structure, not a name. You've been taught that legacy means having your name remembered. Wrong. Legacy isn't what they say about you. Legacy is what still works because of you. When you build systems that survive your absence, you've built legacy. Think of it like this. The person who built the aqueducts didn't just move water, they moved civilization forward. They created a structure that outlived them by centuries. Your systems are your aqueducts. They are the channels through which your energy, your ideas, your values continue to flow, long after you've stepped away. That's real immortality. You don't need statues. You need systems. The mindset shift. From labor to leverage, most people ask, how can I do more? Builders ask, how can I make what I do multiply? It's not about effort, it's about engineering. It's not about harder work. It's about smarter architecture. The person who saves 10% of their income every month without fail through an automatic system will beat the person who tries to remember to save every time. Why? Because consistency doesn't live in motivation, it lives in design. Design once. Benefit forever. That's the key. Automated investments, recurring content systems, email funnels that nurture while you sleep, habits that stack results whether you're in the mood or not. Each of these is a small piece of immortality. You built it once. It keeps giving. That's the mindset of a system builder. You build with time, not against it. What systems really do? Let's be clear. Systems don't just save time. They amplify your best energy. They remove the friction of decision fatigue. They free your mental bandwidth for what actually matters: creation, leadership, growth. Every decision you automate buys back focus. Every routine you design gives you energy. Every process you document becomes a bridge for someone else to carry the work forward. It's not about being robotic. It's about being free. Freedom isn't doing whatever you want whenever you want. Freedom is when the important things take care of themselves. That's what systems do. They handle the essentials, so you can aim higher. The formula for systems that last. Let's break it down. Here's how you build systems that don't just work. They outlive you. Identify the recurring pain. Anything you repeat more than 3 times, automate, delegate, or systemize. Stop patching. Start engineering. Document the process. If it lives only in your head, it dies when you do. Write it down, record it, train others, automate the trigger. Use technology to start the process automatically. Reminders, calendars, scheduled emails, pre-drafted responses, assign accountability. Systems fail without ownership. Make sure every moving part has a name next to it. Refine, don't rebuild. Systems evolve. They don't need reinvention. They need improvement. That's the blueprint. Simple, repeatable, scalable, design once, benefit forever. Examples of immortal systems look at the greatest builders of modern history. They didn't just create businesses, they created mechanisms. McDonald's didn't win because of better burgers. They won because of repeatable processes. Anyone, anywhere, could step in and make the same result. That's system power. Warren Buffett doesn't chase investments. He built a structure that compounds automatically. That's system wealth. You want to scale your business? Build systems for content creation, lead flow, and delivery. You want to scale your health? Systemize your meals, your sleep, your workouts. You want to scale your peace? Systemize your mornings, your evenings, your environment. Don't leave it to chance, leave it to structure. Your systems are your successors. At some point, your body will slow. Your voice will fade. But your systems, they can keep moving. Your team can inherit them. Your children can benefit from them. Your audience can still learn from them. You don't pass down your hustle. You pass down your architecture. When you design your business, your finances, your habits with structure, you build self-replication. That's how movements are born. That's how empires endure. That's how builders become legends. You don't need to be there for it to keep working. That's power. That's permanence. Final truth. Design. Once, benefit. Forever, every day, you're faced with 2 paths. React or design. Work harder or work smarter. Repeat the same mistakes or build a system that prevents them. You have a choice, and that choice defines your future. Because wealth is not just accumulation, it's automation. Freedom is not escape, it's engineering. And legacy is not a name. It's a network of systems that keep serving the world long after you're gone. Design once. Benefit forever. That's the philosophy. That's the discipline. That's your blueprint. You've learned how to create systems that live beyond your reach, that sustain wealth, time, and impact. But now it's time to talk about you, because even the best systems can't save a person ruled by noise. To master creation, you must master calm. Chapter 10. Build systems that outlive you. Approx. NA 50 words, 8 minutes. At some point, you must ask yourself a simple question. Do I want to work for results? Or design results that work for me? That question separates the hustler from the builder. It separates the person who burns out from the person who builds an empire that keeps going, even when they don't. Because here's the truth. Real wealth is not money. It's systems. Systems that produce, systems that multiply, systems that outlive you. You have a choice. You can chase outcomes, or you can build machines that deliver them. The death of manual living. Most people live manually. They do everything from scratch, every day. They make the same decisions. They fight the same fires. They repeat the same routines. That's not mastery. That's maintenance. And maintenance is the silent killer of momentum. When everything in your life depends on your constant effort, you are the bottleneck. You are the problem. If you stop, everything stops. But here's what the builders understand. Design once, benefit forever. That's the mantra of creators who understand leverage. They don't want to do the thing again and again. They want to design a system that does it for them. It's not about laziness. It's about legacy. Legacy is a structure, not a name. You've been taught that legacy means having your name remembered. Wrong. Legacy isn't what they say about you. Legacy is what still works because of you. When you build systems that survive your absence, you've built legacy. Think of it like this. The person who built the aqueducts didn't just move water. They moved civilization forward. They created a structure that outlived them by centuries. Your systems are your aqueducts. They are the channels through which your energy, your ideas, your values continue to flow, long after you've stepped away. That's real immortality. You don't need statues. You need systems. The mindset shift. From labor to leverage, most people ask, how can I do more? Builders ask, how can I make what I do multiply? It's not about effort. It's about engineering. It's not about harder work. It's about smarter. Architecture, the person who saves 10% of their income every month without fail through an automatic system, will beat the person who tries to remember to save. Every time? Why? Because consistency doesn't live in motivation. It lives in design. Design once. Benefit forever. That's the key. Automated investments. Recurring content systems. Email funnels that nurture while you sleep. Habits that stack results whether you're in the mood or not. Each of these is a small piece of immortality. You built it once. It keeps giving. That's the mindset of a system builder. You build with time, not against it. What systems really do, let's be clear. Systems don't just save time. They amplify your best energy. They remove the friction of decision fatigue. They free your mental bandwidth for what actually matters. Creation, leadership, growth. Every decision you automate buys back focus. Every routine you design gives you energy. Every process you document becomes a bridge for someone else to carry the work forward. It's not about being robotic, it's about being free. Freedom isn't doing whatever you want whenever you want. Freedom is when the important things take care of themselves. That's what systems do. They handle the essentials so you can aim higher. The formula for systems that last, let's break it down. Here's how you build systems that don't just work. They outlive you. Identify the recurring pain. Anything you repeat more than 3 times. Automate, delegate, or systemize. Stop patching. Start engineering. Document the process. If it lives only in your head, it dies when you do. Write it down. Record it. Train others. Automate the trigger. Use technology to start the process automatically. Reminders, calendars, scheduled emails, pre-drafted responses. Assign accountability. Systems fail without ownership. Make sure every moving part has a name next to it. Refine, don't rebuild. Systems evolve. They don't need reinvention. They need improvement. That's the blueprint. Simple, repeatable, scalable, design once. Benefit forever. Examples of immortal systems. Look at the greatest builders of modern history. They didn't just create businesses. They created mechanisms. McDonald's didn't win because of better burgers. They won because of repeatable processes. Anyone, anywhere, could step in and make the same result. That's system power. Warren Buffett doesn't chase investments. He built a structure that compounds automatically. That's system wealth. You want to scale your business? Build systems for content creation, lead flow, and delivery. You want to scale your health? Systemize your meals, your sleep, your workouts. You want to scale your peace? Systemize your mornings, your evenings, your environment. Don't leave it to chance. Leave it to structure. Your systems are your successors. At some point, your body will slow. Your voice will fade. But your systems, they can keep moving. Your team can inherit them. Your children can benefit from them. Your audience can still learn from them. You don't pass down your hustle. You pass down your architecture. When you design your business, your finances, your habits with structure, you build self-replication. That's how movements are born. That's how empires endure. That's how builders become legends. You don't need to be there for it to keep working. That's power. That's permanence. Final truth. Design. Once, benefit forever. Every day, you're faced with two paths. React or design. Work harder or work smarter. Repeat the same mistakes or build a system that prevents them. You have a choice, and that choice defines your future. Because wealth is not just accumulation, it's automation. Freedom is not escape, it's engineering. And legacy is not a name, it's a network of systems that keep serving the world long after you're gone. Design once, benefit forever. That's the philosophy. That's the discipline. That's your blueprint. You've learned how to create systems that live beyond your reach, that sustain wealth, time, and impact. But now, it's time to talk about you. Because even the best systems can't save a person ruled by noise. To master creation, you must master calm.